The Red Sox are Boston's oldest established sports team, having been founded in 1901. It's known as one of the Classic 8 teams to have formed the American League. They had success early on, winning 5 World Series titles between 1903 to 1918. But in late 1919, the Red Sox sold their star player to their biggest rival. They went through a long World Series drought. The Sox wouldn't be utterly terrible as they made the playoffs here and there. They'd occasionally find themselves in the World Series, but they just couldn't win. Many deemed this period the curse of the Bambino in reference to them trading Babe Ruth, who was becoming a legend by helping the Yankees win 4 World Series titles during his time with them. I'm sure some Red Sox fans had hope, while others may have thought another World Series would never happen again, and others thought it would take divine intervention, a touch of the impossible, to break the curse and get a championship. In 2004, the Boston Red Sox made the postseason and found themselves down 3-0 against their bitterest rivals, the Yankees. They were 1 loss away from another playoff exit, but thanks to some great pitching and hitting, Boston was able to prolong the series. One player in particular that helped the Red Sox was the pinch hitter David Big Papi Ortiz. In the 12th inning of Game 4, Ortiz slammed the ball, preventing the sweep. Sure, this kept the door open, but this was going to be an uphill battle as no MLB team had ever come back from a 3-game deficit. Game 5 went into extra innings, where in the bottom of the 14th, with 2 outs, David Ortiz hit a blip in shallow center, sending the winning run from second to home. David Ortiz ignited this 2004 Boston Red Sox team, giving them life, momentum, and confidence for the rest of the series. Later on, David Ortiz would be named the MVP of the ALCS series. They'd finish out the comeback winning Game 6, known as the Curt Schilling game, and Game 7. The Red Sox would go on to trounce the Cardinals in the World Series, winning their first championship title in 86 years. Although the World Series came easy, they had to do something no one had ever seen before to get there and win. Looking at MTV.com around the time of September 2010, the challenge released the cast list for their 20th season. Looking through the photos, CT wasn't there. He'd be absent for a 3rd straight season, and there was no sign of when he would ever return. Wait, what was that? CT is in the promo? This trailer was uploaded on September 6, 2010 to the Urban Tactics HD YouTube channel, exactly 1 month before the premiere of the season. There aren't a ton of comments on the video, but one thing's for certain, people were excited for CT's return. The only problem is, how will CT get on the show without being a part of the cast? Some theorized that maybe an injury would occur and CT comes in as a replacement. Episode 1 went by. Then Episode 2. Episodes 3, 4, and 5. It got later and later into the season, but still no sign of CT. Fans were confused and a bit annoyed at when they will see him. He was in the original promo at the beginning of the season, but it's been radio silent. Until Episode 8. The Gray Team won the High Ball Challenge, and the other teams had to vote in 2 players each for that episode's gulag. Johnny Bananas had been ready to take on Tyler Duckworth. They had been sort of rivals dating back to their real-world Key West days, a rivalry that crept into the challenge starting back in the duel. Once everyone arrived at the gulag, TJ tells the players that they will be playing Back Up Off Me. This elimination had been played in Episode 2, where 2 players would be strapped back to back. On TJ's horn, both players would try to move themselves and their opponent to a particular side of the arena to knock down their barrel. The first time this elimination was played, Brandon won against JD and Cara Maria won against Mandy. Johnny and Tyler were ready to get down in the sand to take each other on. That is, until TJ had something else in mind.
Come on out, guys.
This was the first time the heavy hitter, also known as the mercenary twist, was ever introduced on the challenge. Since season 20, we've seen this twist used in different seasons, some of which may come up later in this series. It had been roughly 603 days since the last time CT was featured on an episode of The Challenge, and unfortunately for the audience, just when Johnny and CT got strapped in for the elimination, a to be continued flashed upon the screen. Everyone had to wait a full week, but it was worth it because the challenge history was about to be made. I think most people believed CT would win, but no one expected CT to just stand up, carry a grown man on his back, and smash into the barrel all within 20 seconds. Oh, CT was back and better than ever. It's easy to say Tyler held on for longer to win the elimination, but no one really cared about that. All they could think about was, did I just see what I think I saw? And when will CT be back on the challenge to compete for real? CT was back on the challenge officially for season 21, Rivals.
I'm back.
A season that is viewed by many as the pinnacle of the golden age of the show. It was a culmination of some of the most heated rivalries all hitting a crescendo with everyone tied to their bitter rivals. You had Kenny and Wes having to work together after all the turmoil they put each other through. Robin and Anissa, whose rivalry stemmed back to season 13, The Duel. There were some newer rivalries like Cara and Laurel, but all eyes were on CT and Adam King. CT and Adam hadn't been on the show together since The Duel 2. Now they not only had to live together, but their whole game relied on each other. I'm sure there were a lot of questions. How would they work together? Would there be hurt feelings? Would there be communication issues? How long could they last on the season together? Maybe there were concerns that they could have another Duel 2 incident. CT tried to be open and cordial with Adam. He apologized and kept on trying to be Adam's friend.
So you think we're friends yet? I'm gonna get Adam to tell me he's my friend.
Maybe it could be seen as CT being a bit over the top with the friendship stuff, but I truly believe he was doing his best to be a good partner for Adam. Too bad Adam trusted Kenny, Evan, and Johnny over his own partner.
Evan, Kenny, and Johnny. They want to take care of me.
When Kenny and Evan were on the No Quitters podcast, they were very candid on why they felt they could never trust CT.
We just got to hear. Give us your best CT story. He would have been part of our little crew had he have been if we could trust him. I've known that guy for 12, 13 years. He's never had the same number for longer than a week. So you can't get in touch with him. I can't rely on him.
On Rivals, CT wasn't arguing with Adam because he had another prior adversary to deal with, Wes. CT was the biggest threat in the game. Wes and many other players saw him and Adam as a duo to worry about.
I really have to admit, the guy's bigger and maybe stronger than me.
His plan was to provoke CT to see if he'd lose his temper. CT has gotten disqualified a couple of times in the past, why not see if it could happen again? One night, Wes told CT that he was going to send him in the elimination and wanted him to go home. Let's just say CT wasn't happy to hear that.
All I do is, bro.
Wes eventually walked away, but he riled up CT even more by throwing his bed off the bedroom balcony.
Who's scared of you now? What? Who's scared of you now?
Outside of the challenges, it felt like Adam and CT were playing very separate games. Both men had found romance on the season. Adam and Jen got cozy with each other while CT had a fling with Mandy. But when that didn't work out, CT started to pursue Laurel. Having relationships kept them busy and their minds on other things. Despite not being close, Adam and CT came out the gate firing. They first won immunity in episode 2, then turned around and won $2,000 in episode 3's Sink or Swim challenge. Unfortunately, they were unable to win another challenge the rest of the season. Being well insulated, they were on their way to possibly not seeing an elimination. That is, until episode 6, when Evan threw the catch and release challenge in hopes to take on CT in the elimination. Now there's a rumor surrounding this elimination that Evan had to go home to finish college, so he was not only looking to throw the challenge, but the elimination as well. Whether it's true or not, CT and Adam were voted into the jungle to play the rail slide elimination. They won, sending Evan and Nehemiah home.
You gonna be my friend now? Not yet?
This would be the last time we saw Evan on the challenge. One could say Evan was the biggest benefactor of CT's absence, having won both of his championships between the Duel 2 and Rivals. CT and Adam were now only one elimination day away from making the final. The thing is, the challenge is chock full of surprises. Season 21 was the first to have a location change. The bulk of the season took place in Costa Rica, but after episode 7, the challenge made the players pack their bags to head to Buenos Aires, Argentina. The last daily challenge, men's elimination, and the final were all to take place in Argentina. This was going to be a highly competitive stretch to end the game. CT was so focused to make the final and get the win he's been wanting so badly. How great of a redemption story it would be to win alongside your biggest rival, the person you've had so much animosity with since the beginning of your MTV career. I mean, for a period of time, CT didn't know if his The Challenge career was over after the fight with Adam. For both of them to be here together and being looked at as a top team to win, this was it. Or so one would think. In the last challenge, one pair is harnessed on a helicopter with the partner having to climb to the top of the rope to release a line. The fastest pair would win safety and their tickets to the final. In Gauntlet 2, Adam played in Capture the Flag, an elimination that had him climb a cargo net. Although he lost to Alton, Adam showed he could be quick when it came to climbing, but here on Rivals, they agreed on letting CT climb the rope due to him being heavier. If the rope started whipping around, they were hoping CT's weight would keep it steadier compared to Adam's slimmer frame. The problem was the rope was dragging on the water, making it extremely difficult to climb. Eventually, CT was flung from the rope, resulting in a disqualification. No other male team was disqualified, meaning CT and Adam would be going into the last elimination of the season. It was a pretty heated vote, but when the dust settled, Johnny and Tyler were the decision to take on CT and Adam. Leroy and Mike made this difficult when they won safety. Back at the challenge house, Johnny and Kenny agreed to target Adam and try to put him at a disadvantage mentally going into the elimination. Sure, they were close friends with him, but they'd rather go after him than possibly get decked by his partner this late in the game. They put their plan in motion at the bar, with the two men coming to Adam one at a time trying to get inside his head. CT got mad knowing they were trying to unnerve his partner, and he stepped in to help.
I'm here to let you know that you have someone who's in your corner.
It's kinda nice because it felt like CT and Adam's rivalry was solidified with the bar argument in Paris, when here it felt like a mutual respect had matured during a bar argument in Argentina. This could have been the team building they needed before the next test. Everyone met up with TJ the next day for the T-Bone elimination. Each team member had to run down and up to transfer their balls to the opposite side. The first pair to properly swap balls would win. The T-Bone elimination is one of the most scrutinized eliminations, not because of some funky rule or production meddling. Mainly it deals with wondering if Adam possibly threw it. On paper, this was CT and Adam's elimination. CT was the wrecking crew, as we got to see the first iteration of the CT train. And Adam had the speed. He should have been flying through the lanes. But during the game, Adam was making so many mistakes. He'd take the balls he wasn't supposed to, setting him and CT back. In the end, it was really close, but Adam just couldn't get to his feet.
Oh my god, get up, Adam.
Johnny and Tyler won by mere seconds. At that moment, a familiar feeling came back to CT. A feeling he knew all too well. It was similar to the one he felt in Season 10 when players he was tethered to couldn't keep up. The same feeling as the one in Season 13 when he lost the elimination because of something out of his control. The same feeling from Season 15 when Big Easy collapsed on the ground and dashed the chances of winning right before his eyes.
Well, it's only a matter of time before I drag you down.
Don't say that.
That cost us that game, man.
CT had paid his dues, did his time, matured, and worked on himself. But even after all these years, it was the same old song and dance. Adam has denied throwing the T-Bone elimination.
And there were rumors that I had thrown that challenge. Nothing could be further from the truth. I wanted to win.
But as recent as 2024, CT's still skeptical.
All of a sudden, you're getting the wrong balls, you're laying down, you're so exhausted.
I want to win for me, but I want to lose because of him.
The good thing is, CT had no time to wallow in this loss because he'd be back for the very next season. The next season in CT's redemption tour was season 22 Battle of the Exes. Naturally, this season had everyone paired up with their past love interests. It's fascinating to see the various levels of exes utilized for the season. There were couples like Jasmine and Tyree who had a fling during Rivals, where on the other hand you had couples who had dated for years that spanned multiple seasons, like Paula and Dunbar, or Cara and Abe. One couple who had an extensive history with each other was CT and Diem. Up to this point, we know of CT's hiatus from the show after season 17 and his return. But Diem was coming off her own hiatus by returning for season 22. After both CT and Adam were dismissed from season 17, Diem was left to play her game. She had a decent run. She didn't see an elimination until episode 8 when Jen called her out. They played the push-over elimination game in which Diem smoked Jen 2 rounds to nothing. Diem would make the final 8, and around that time TJ made a house call. Everyone thought they made the final. Instead, TJ told them that only 6 players would be eligible to move forward, that there would be a surprise vote for one last duel for the men and the women. It took only a few seconds for Rachel, Anissa, and Brittany to all agree on voting Diem.
I go with you, Diem. Diem. It would be Diem.
In the arena, Diem chose to go against the Duel 2 rookie sensation Brittany. They played the pushover elimination in a best of 3 rounds, with the women trading off the first 2 bouts. It all came down to one final round where Diem slipped and her foot touched the ground. It was a disappointing end to what was an emotionally and physically daunting season for Diem, but I think looking back, this season was so empowering for her. This was a solo game where she had to rely on herself, her social game, and her physical abilities. She didn't have a Derek or CT to help lean on. She was pushed to her limits in nearly every single way and almost got herself to the final. Diem would be back for season 18 The Ruins, being a part of the Challengers team. It was a short stay as she was eliminated by Tanya in episode 1. The Challengers team took it as a tough early blow to have a strong, positive veteran presence gone in the first elimination. Despite it being Diem's worst finish, she decided to look on the bright side.
I didn't cry in this challenge, and I stepped up to the plate, so I proved a little bit of something.
Diem was busy in her 2.5-year break from the show. She was establishing herself as a host and entertainment reporter, being a regular contributor with the Associated Press, Fox News, Sky Living, MTV, and People.com. In the midst of her career aspirations, Diem was also creating a nonprofit called MedGift. MedGift was founded by Diem in a way for friends, family, and other donors to be able to gift or help people who needed care.
Basically, MedGift is the first ever patient gift registry.
She realized during her own experiences with ovarian cancer that the process can be overwhelming, and even the smallest gift can make the biggest difference. MedGift was a place to make things easier on everyone to give and feel support. Diem was ambitious not just for her own life, but helping the lives of many others. She was working with multiple companies, being on the red carpet, attending health conventions, making sure MedGift is running to get everyone the help they need, all while finding time to have fun and dance the way only Diem knows how to. In a joint interview with Camilla on realitywanted.com, Diem talked about being asked to come back to the challenge. I think for me, I hadn't done the show in a long time. I kind of wasn't really jumping to come back. I had been so focused on MedGift, so when they called me, I was like, man, they're really eager to get me on this one. This is really strange. Then I get there, and I was like, you little liars. There's my ex I haven't spoken to in years, and it was just awkward. I wanted to run when I realized that I needed to compete with this person. The little liars in the quote is in reference to being lied to by production when she heard a rumor it was an Exes season. In an interview that was posted on Vebmo, I always trust my gut. I had zero idea it was Exes when I said yes. In fact, I was led to believe it was Duel 3. When I heard rumors that it was Exes, I asked and was told again that don't be silly, stop listening to the rumors, no one knows anything. Something in my gut said to do this one. Medgift was the tipping point because we had 2 hospitals signed on at that point, and I thought it would be cool if I won any money to spread it among the patients and also offer some of the money to hospitals about to sign on to their patients. Again, it was a gut feeling that said you need to do this one. There was a bit of apprehension and turmoil between CT and Diem early. According to Diem, they hadn't spoken much or at all between what happened on the Duel 2 to their reunion on Battle of the Exes. Both had their walls up and felt that they were walking on eggshells with each other. Diem had anger with CT after the Duel 2 when he admitted to breaking their promise they made on the plane ride of, quote, not touching another cast member. And not only that, but he apparently claimed to have done it purposely, wanting to hurt Diem. CT was carrying around, I think, guilt and pain. The guilt of breaking that promise with Diem, but also the pain of not just the breakup, but also her not making his brother's funeral. Diem explains in the interview that she was tight on funds around the time. Her friends did help her financially in securing a plane ticket, but when putting in the flight information, she had entered the wrong dates. She tried to switch her ticket, but it didn't work out. CT felt the one time he needed her there in his darkest time, she wasn't around. Building on that, CT we know is a private person, but Diem was talking about her and CT's relationship with other people in the house.
I want to smile around him. I can't give him that until he says, I'm sorry.
So not only did he not want other people to know about his personal life, but also he felt Diem was talking to everyone else but him about their dynamic. In the first few episodes, they didn't talk much unless it was for the challenges. And to be honest, they still were doing great, locking in a top 5, a top 4, and a top 3 finish in the first 3 daily challenges despite having clear communication issues.
Grab my bet!
They had a team talk in episode 4, reassuring each other that they'd be giving it their all to work together to win. After this talk, their communication would get somewhat better, but they still weren't winning. They even flirted with almost going into the elimination in episode 5 when they came second to last in the Don't Rock the Boat Daily Challenge. They had a big bounce back in the next episode, finishing second, but there was still something blocking them from reaching their true potential. The two would hit rock bottom when they had a huge fight in episode 6. A conversation of their past relationship came up. Everything that was laying dormant underneath erupted to the surface on the bus ride back home.
I was happy I left you.
Most of my family couldn't stand you.
In episode 7, CT and Diem would finally sit down to have a heart-to-heart that was a long time coming. Both were able to unload about the hurt they've felt over the years. They talked about what happened on the Duel 2, the funeral, and most importantly, they both apologized to one another.
I apologize for everything.
I'm sorry that hurt your feelings.
At the reunion, CT would take the brunt of why things got to a boiling point, stating that they should have had the conversation much earlier, but it was on him that they waited so late in the game to have it. He didn't want to confront the feelings and didn't want to talk about their past. It's unfortunate it got to such a level, but at least they had the chance to talk things out. This was a major turning point as CT and Diem won the next challenge, Race to the Altar, which felt very fitting for them. It was sort of a wish fulfillment for the fandom seeing Diem in a white dress with CT at the altar. But unfortunately, winning wasn't going to be the hard part. It was deciding who was going up against Emily and Ty. CT's choice was Johnny and Camilla. They were the winningest pair, having won 3 daily challenges. To CT, this was the best move strategically. Diem wasn't so sure. Her choice was Paula and Dunbar. The two had 1 challenge win over the course of the season, were well connected with Johnny, Camilla, and Mark. Also, both players had won in the past 2 seasons, with Dunbar having been a part of the winning red team in season 20, while Paula won season 21. We'd later find out that Diem and Johnny had a very strong friendship. Johnny had helped with Medgift and being a big support. Even though it could have been a good move for the game, it wasn't a good move personally to screw over a good friend. The two settled on Paula and Dunbar, who went on to lose in the Hall Pass elimination against Emily and Ty. CT and Diem put together another great run in Field the Burn, locking in their spot to the final. They got to ride in a private jet with TJ while also riding momentum into the final. They voted in Mark and Robin to play against Camilla and Johnny in the final elimination. Johnny and Camilla won. The stage was set. The 3 pairs traveled from the Dominican Republic to Iceland. This was CT and Diem's first time being in a non-team based final. This was also their first multi-day final. CT was always known as a great competitor and a great athlete. Diem was in good shape, but she was never considered dominant or physically intimidating. Going into the final, she shared with CT how she was going to go her hardest and not wanting to be considered a weak link for them.
It's not going to be who can squat the most or who can do the most push-ups. It's all hard.
The next day, the teams met up with TJ in the -6-degree weather. CT and Diem would be a force in the final, getting first place in all 7 checkpoints. The problems that came were when CT hit his breaking point on the second day. It all started in checkpoint 4 when they grabbed their medallion first, but CT had trouble with his snowshoes. They had to stop and fix them, leaving the door open for other pairs to pass. Being in third made CT panic a bit, and they rushed their pace to catch up. Luckily, the 5th checkpoint was a puzzle that stumped everyone but Diem. She figured it out in record time. She just needed CT to move the logs and stones to lock in the solution. They finished in first and had a bit of a head start. The 6th checkpoint had the couples dig out a snow tunnel. CT took the reins given this was a physical checkpoint. He dug quickly as if he was an abominable gopher, but once he plops out the other side, you can see just how tired he was. CT spent a lot of his energy. Too bad they still had miles and a lot of altitude to go. From the end of checkpoint 6 through the rest of the final, CT struggled to stay upright. Diem was there the entire time giving support and encouragement to help keep them moving. Johnny and Camilla passed them for first place and didn't slow down. This could have been a storybook ending for both CT and Diem to get their first challenge championship together. After all their history and work they put in, both game-wise and personally, this could have felt like a fairy tale. Diem seemed to be happy they got second place. I'm sure CT was happy to finish given how tough this final was. But really thinking about it, they not only lost, but lost because of CT. That's a tough pill to swallow. CT had never been in this position before. He was always looked at as the best, and instead, he gassed out at the end. After the massive dip in ratings with season 23, the challenge went back to what they know works. And that's how we got Rivals 2. Unlike Rivals 1, where the show had 20 seasons of real rivalries, this season had newcomers and newer beefs among cast members stemming from a season or 2 prior, or heated Twitter exchanges like Johnny and Frank. One of the longest running rivalries dated back to season 13, The Duel. You might remember we touched on one of the most fiery exits in the challenge's history. And then they sparked back up in season 21, when an all-night argument had a mattress being tossed off a balcony. There was always this tension between CT and Wes, but you can see a glimmer in their eyes when TJ announces they are paired together. CT had to think that if there was a chance to win the challenge, this was it. Wes sure thought they had a good chance to win it all, according to what he said in the Untold History special.
I realized I need to call my business partner and let him know that I'm not coming home because I'm about to win the challenge.
Sure, Wes had gotten on CT's nerves in the past, but CT had gotten frustrated with partners or team members if he felt they weren't pulling their weight or wanted to win. Wes was someone he never had to question his intentions. Wes always played to win. Rivals 2 didn't just serve as a sequel to the Rival series, but unintentionally was a sequel to Battle of the Exes in terms of CT and Diem. Speaking of Diem, some important context should be stated before diving fully into Rivals 2. In June of 2012, after 6 years of being in remission, Diem Brown was diagnosed with ovarian cancer for a second time. I got a call from the same doctor I had 6 years ago, and he said those same words. They're just as devastating. Sorry to tell you, but you have cancer. It's like a whole rush rushes over you, and you're so numb. I'd been there, done that. Diem would be scared of battling cancer again, but she never backed down. Actually, she did the opposite. This time around, she was given a platform by People.com to blog about her journey with cancer. She had mentioned that back in 2006, She would Google search for examples of women going through cancer treatments to get an idea of the road ahead, but she couldn't find much of what she was looking for. Now 6 years later, she wanted to be an example to help out anyone who might be going through their own battles with cancer in the present or future. That they could look back and know that yes, it's hard, but you can get through it.
I'm learning a whole bunch of things while going through it, and I figured the best way to learn is also to share.
Diem documented her treatments, losing her hair due to chemotherapy, coping with her anxiety, opening up about how therapy has helped her, and much more. When doing research, I was in awe of how candid and vulnerable Diem was in her articles. I was also disheartened that out of her years of contributions, only 24 articles she wrote were available. Throughout every article, there are broken links everywhere of lost media. I am very thankful for this project that I could read and try to preserve Diem's words before what I could find was washed away to time. In February of 2013, Diem was given the good news that she was once again in remission. 2 weeks later, she wrote a blog article for People.com saying that she would be away and wouldn't be posting as frequently for a while. And that's because she would be on Rivals 2. Night 1 was a bit of a roller coaster with CT getting into a heated exchange with the new kids Marlon and Jordan. But once he calmed down, he turned his attention over to Diem. Being secluded in the corner of the pool, she allowed her wig to be taken off, a scene that feels extremely similar to 7 years earlier in the duel. The thing is, this season wouldn't be rainbows and fairy tales for these two. Very soon after this pool scene, CT would strike up a flirtation with Anastasia. The conflicted love triangle, so to speak, would lead to some tension not just between Diem and CT, and eventually CT and Anastasia, but also Frank and CT? As stated multiple times throughout this documentary, CT never liked to kiss and tell. But in the house, Anastasia told some people that she and CT. He, of course, denied it. He was questioned by Trishelle on why Anastasia would lie. CT may have gotten loud, but he kept his hands to himself. It was interesting because the person who got the most physical with Frank was Knight. He acted like CT's bodyguard, wrestling Frank to the ground to get him away.
Come get it, tough guy!
Anastasia was eliminated in episode 2, and that gave more time for CT and Diem to figure out where they stood with each other. CT was confused with Diem's actions. He believed Diem was playing games, and so he would play some of his own.
You're not playing fair, but I think it's fun. I think it's cute. You're playing games.
This season of the challenge, the format was a bit different in that men would vote for women on women's days, and the women would in turn vote for men on men's days. CT used this format to be more flirtatious. He tested the waters early with Diem, but once she pulled away, he started to get closer with Anastasia. Once her number was up, he moved on to Nani. He also got really close with Kara and Cook. Even with how confusing things were between them, CT and Diem would always look out for each other. They'd consider each other as their number ones. Wes on Brian Cohen's Bus Driver Routes podcast mentioned a little bit of their strategy with other teams on the season.
We said, we won't vote for you, but you can't tell us who to vote for.
Really, CT and Wes had the social and political game on lock. They didn't receive a single vote the entire season. With no fear of being voted in, all they really needed to do was not get last in a daily challenge. On the season, the eliminations would flip back and forth from men to women days. That meant CT and Wes would only be eligible to go into a max of 5 eliminations. Episode 1, Dunbar and Tyree fumbled hard to find themselves in the first elimination of the season. Episode 3, Knight and Preston disqualified in the Mind Over Splatter challenge, easily locking them in to the elimination round. Episode 5, a massive amount of collusion in the Frog Smash challenge led to CT and Wes waltzing their way to a win and safety. Episode 7, CT and Wes finished in the top 2, just losing out to Frank and Johnny in the Blind Leading the Blind challenge. In episode 9, CT and Wes won the Rampage challenge. They got to pick the order, having won episode 8's Daily challenge. They wanted to face off against Knight and Preston, but they would have won against anyone because Johnny Bananas gassed out, and although the rookies Marlon and Jordan were fierce competitors, they were much slower than CT and Wes. Before finishing the talk on daily challenges, I have to mention 2 memorable moments from CT. One of which is in episode 2's challenge, both Wes and Preston quit, leading CT to having a little fun.
The girl's what I got.
CT, night. That's funny, but you guys are out.
Then one of my favorite moments is RIP Wes in the trivia challenge when CT politically threw it to not make the women mad.
And send Weston for dip.
Both challenges were during women elimination weeks, so there were no consequences for getting last place or quitting for the men. CT came into the season with high expectations and everything was going according to plan. 3 daily challenge wins, no eliminations, no votes cast against them, and now he was about to make his 2nd consecutive final appearance. With his ticket punched, CT was finally able to let loose and tell people how he felt honestly. First being Johnny Bananas. An argument started to boil between Wes and Johnny about each gassing out recently. CT, I'm sure, knew Wes could handle himself, but that's his partner. The next person to get CT's no care attitude was Diem. In the final daily challenge color correction, Anissa and Diem got last place. They were on a one-way road to the final elimination. Diem, before the challenge, had told CT and Wes that she would want to go against the, quote, tougher team, thinking Cara and Cook would be available for the vote.
You told us you would want the tougher team.
Because I thought the tougher team was Cara and Cook.
But that plan was scrambled when Cara and Cook won safety. Diem then wanted to pivot for the guys to vote Camilla and Jemmy. However, CT and Wes were ready to vote in the, quote, tougher team, meaning Paula and Emily. In her People.com recap, she mentions that apparently there were some issues Wes had with Paula. So in that moment, Wes was set on voting for Paula and Emily. Maybe it was how close Paula was with Johnny, or Paula being in the JEK alliance over the years that he wanted to make her challenge season a bit tougher at the end. Who knows? Luckily for Diem, the other 2 teams voted in Camilla and Jemmy. This is where things took a downward spiral. Not only was she going into the final elimination, but now the whole house was against her. Camilla and Jemmy called out Diem for campaigning for them, saying that they were the, quote, easier team to win against. Then Cook got in on the action. According to an interview back in 2013, things were pretty testy between Diem and Cook. Apparently Cook told People that she wanted to break Diem on the season. I hated watching myself come undone. There's a girl there who, from day one of this challenge, had a target above my head. She laughed whenever I was upset and celebrated whenever I was in emotional pain. She told People it would be fun to mentally break Diem. I was shocked as to why someone would get a kick out of something like that. Normally when someone wants to, you can just remove yourself from their presence. But in a game like this, it becomes impossible. While all of this was happening, CT on camera was cold. He smiled when the women at Diem. Instead of helping, he sat back talking with Cara. Diem felt hurt and manipulated. Over the course of the season, Diem and CT would have their flirty moments. Of course, they'd have their lulls, but throughout the game they had a good working relationship that teetered on something more from time to time. That is, until CT made the final. Once his mind was on the next phase, he didn't care about anything else. He didn't want to waste his brain power or extra energy on all this drama. And really, there was nothing he could do in the moment. There was one elimination left. The only person that could help Diem was her partner Anissa. If Diem wanted to win, she had to do it herself. Diem and Anissa would go on to lose the elimination right before the final. A feeling both Diem and Anissa knew very well. At the end, CT picked Diem up for a final embrace before she walked off the season. In the Vevmo interview, Diem stated she came back way too soon. Not only was she older than her competitors, but she also felt the most self-conscious about her physical state. Prior to traveling, she had only been a few weeks in remission. Diem was trying to train in Thailand throughout the season while also taking new medicine, going through hormone replacement shots, and dealing with menopause side effects. On People.com, she states she actually told production that coming onto the season was a mistake and she thinks she should be pulled from the game. I approached production and told them I made a mistake coming back this soon and that I thought I should go home. Production was very sweet and comforting in letting me know that I was doing a great thing and that people watching would understand if I am a little different and a little off this season. Sadly, that was not the case. After going through cancer again, she didn't want to pass up on this opportunity. Diem wanted to feel like she was healthy again and she used the challenge as a sort of a litmus test to push herself. Once eliminated from Rivals 2, Diem questioned if she ever wanted to return to compete on the challenge ever again. Rivals 2 wasn't a very positive experience given her treatment with the women on the show and CT. Once she got home and episode 10 premiered, Diem got a lot of hate online from all types of challenge fans. After last week's episode aired, my character was transformed and I was showered with an onslaught of online hate. I even got a text with a screenshot of my address from someone who somehow accessed my personal information about how he or she was going to kill me in graphic detail. Instantly, I felt the trapdoor open beneath me and the dark clouds surround my spirit. Another reason why Diem was ready to hang up her challenge jersey was because she felt misled by production. She talked to them about what she was hoping to show on the season with being someone who struggled but can overcome. Production assured that she would be inspirational to people watching at home. She also had conversations with other cast members that she thought would have been great to show on TV to help out those who watch the challenge and who are in need. But none of that aired. Have you been surprised by the edit this season? I am very surprised. I am surprised at some people's edits as well as those were not the people I had known. And if I had met the person the viewers got to see, I would have liked them too. Instead, who I met was a very cold and calculated person who at any chance they got took a dig at me. I could not understand why, but I also think this edit of me was not fair. I was misled going into this season and while on this show. I am sad that the opportunity to showcase chemo and menopause to a younger audience was missed. Emily, Paula, Camilla, Teresa, Anissa, and I all had so many amazing conversations that I think would have been so helpful to some viewers watching who deal with feeling different, insecure, and like a science project at times. We talked about infertility, menopause, and feeling trapped inside of a body you feel helpless to control, but also knowing the pain is temporary and worth being able to be alive to feel it. Back in Thailand, the finalists were gearing up for the final when a clue from TJ mentioned that the players would be traveling to Japan. Everyone seemed really excited, except for CT and Wes. In an interview on the Mike Lewis podcast, Wes talked about how both he and CT were out of shape arriving on Rivals 2. Wes had been working overtime at his business to get everything settled before leaving for the challenge, while CT had been on a vacation trip with Knight for like 6 weeks before the season.
We can run for the next 45 days, and we did. So we ran back and forth on the deck, and eventually we had our 100-lap day, and it acclimated us to very, very humid, horrible conditions.
But with the news of going to Japan, the two worried about what could happen running in the city streets, or maybe having to climb a mountain in the cold. Their worries would be squelched when TJ kidnapped the competitors and took them on a yacht to play the final in Thailand. This is exactly what CT and Wes had trained for. The Rivals 2 final went exactly how the season went for the both of them, flawlessly. CT and Wes got a lead and never looked back. They were first in every checkpoint, retrieved all 5 idols, grabbed the golden elephant, and were the first 2 back to the yacht for TJ to say the magic words CT had been waiting years to hear.
Congratulations, guys. $125,000.
CT finally was a challenge champion. On his 9th season, 9 years after his The Challenge debut on the Inferno, through DQs, fights, love, heartache, uncertainty, redemption, everything led to this moment.
I did it. Finally won the challenge. This guy's come home with me.
But CT wasn't done. He had 1 title, but that wasn't going to be enough for him. CT was back for the next season, season 25 Free Agents. He wanted to defend his crown. The season started off well with him winning a basketball game against Teresa on night 1. To be honest, this season was where CT was the most free. He had his win, so he was able to loosen up a bit. Diem wasn't on the season, and no one else caught his eye, so he didn't find himself in any relationship drama for the first time since his return. CT refrained from getting into any fights. He did get heated one night out when the bar put everyone's drinks on his tab.
I look at my tab. Looks like I'm buying everybody's drinks tonight. So I'm a little pissed off about that.
Then another night on the bus, things got awkward coming back to the house when CT and Jordan got into a war of words. When it came to the competitions, he won 4 daily challenges. In episode 1, CT's team won the Out on a Ledge challenge. Then episode 4, the red team outscored the yellow team in Bounce Out to get the win. He then put together back-to-back wins in Episode 8 and Episode 9 with doing the Crouching Buddha Hidden Yoda in the Hold That Pose challenge.
Pull off my favorite pose, Crouching Buddha, Hidden Yoda.
Then he was on a souped-up, overpowered team partnering with Zach in the Dugout challenge. The only problem in CT's game was if he wasn't winning daily challenges, he was in the draw. But he had quite the string of luck evading eliminations for 4 draws. The first time CT saw an elimination was late. Cara Maria was having a tough season, having been in multiple eliminations and on top of that breaking her hand. In the team picking portion for the crossover daily challenge, Cara was hesitant to pick CT in fear of holding him back, but he didn't care.
Pick me now. Pick me. Shut up.
Can we keep it Boston, please?
Shut up.
Later back at the house, CT tells Leroy that he tried not to play the game emotionally, but he felt bad for Cara. That if he decided to take the feelings out of it, he would have been chosen by Laurel and feels like he could have had a better chance of winning. Instead, Johnny Bananas and Nani won. And being this close to the final, Johnny was ready to make a move. They voted CT into the elimination round. What's impressive is it was his first elimination since the T-Bone elimination game in Rivals.
I haven't seen you in elimination, little guy.
He played Wrecking Wall against Leroy and won. TJ got everyone excited, telling them that all 8 players would be moving locations to Chile. Everyone thought that the final was set, but like Rivals, there was one more trick up TJ's sleeve. It was an ambush of one last elimination, with a 50% chance of pulling the dreaded card with no one exempt from the draw. Zach got to flip first. Blank. Johnny Riley was up next. Blank. CT's luck had finally run out. The rematch was set. CT versus Johnny, fighting for the last ticket to the final. The puzzle pyramid had the players competing in 3 different puzzles, with the person who could finish all of them the quickest and ring the bell would be the winner. Johnny wasn't known as a puzzle guy. He was sort of hit or miss, while CT was more consistent with them. I feel people would assume CT would take the win. On this day, with these puzzles, Johnny was a wizard solving 3 puzzles, with CT solving just 1.
Man, puzzles I'm usually pretty good at, man. I can't believe Bananas got me.
CT and Johnny were trading blows back-to-back since Season 20. In Rivals, Johnny won in the T-Bone elimination. Exes, Johnny won the final. Rivals 2, CT won in the final. And Free Agents, Johnny won in the puzzle pyramid. CT was on a plane back home, disappointed he made it so far, but came 2 puzzles short of making another final. While Johnny went on to win Free Agents, becoming the winningest challenger by getting his 5th win. CT was back for Season 26 Battle of the Exes 2. He would be partnered up once again with Diem. Their history is a little fuzzy since the last time we saw them together on the challenge. On Rivals 2, they had an on-again, off-again flirtation. There's also rumors that they briefly dated sometime after Season 24. Seeing Diem back was kinda surprising, as she sounded pretty certain after Rivals 2 that she would retire from the challenge. In Episode 1, she talks about her motivation for the money. She wanted to use it on a surrogate so she could finally start the family she always wanted.
I have to pay anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 per kid.
CT was very supportive in wanting to help Diem become a challenge champion. In the past, he was so determined to win at all costs, but now his sole focus was on playing how Diem wanted and helping out any way he can. The thing is, the fans were worried for the beginning of this season. It was reported in August 2014 that Diem was pulled while filming the challenge and airlifted back to the US. Doctors found one tumor blocking her colon completely, so they had to do emergency surgery that evening to remove the blockage. They were able to remove the mass, but once they were inside, they found out there were multiple tumors. Brown then underwent a second emergency surgery 3 days later when complications from her first operation caused an infection in her abdomen. The second surgery was 2 steps back, but hopefully in the next few weeks she'll be well enough to start chemo. No one could tell anything was wrong with her in Episode 1, but in Episode 2, after the Rounding the Bases challenge, Diem had what appeared to be a massive stomachache. She initially blamed the peanut butter she licked off of a board during the challenge. No one thought it was serious, except for her close friend Johnny. In an interview with Zap2It, Johnny states that he was at her birthday party in June when he learned that her cancer came back. No one on the cast or production knew anything about Diem's condition. Nothing too alarming happened until the start of episode 3, when everyone came back to the house after being out at the bar. A crew member told CT that Diem was rushed to the hospital.
Diem was feeling pretty sick, and so she wanted to go to the doctor.
Where is she?
You can see the panic instantly hit him. He yells for someone to take him to the hospital so he can be by her side. From the Zap2It article, we find out CT wasn't the only person worried about Diem. That night they took Diem to the hospital, I have never seen Johnny that emotional. Johnny was sitting there and telling me how the cancer came back. I had no idea, but he knew. He had tears in his eyes. I had never seen him like that before. Diem eventually came back to the challenge house sometime in the early morning. But once the sun rose, Diem wasn't feeling any better. Production set up for Diem to be taken to another hospital for a second checkup. This was the episode the fandom, the cast, and everyone dreaded. The whole house took the day to make cards and crafts for Diem's return. CT led the movement wanting to make Diem feel better. But she wasn't going to return. TJ made a house call to let everyone know Diem was going to be medically disqualified from the game. Without hesitation, CT went to go pack his bag to be on the first flight back with her. After her emergency surgeries in August, around early September, Diem was able to eat solid foods again and was released from the hospital. I can't lie, I do feel weak and overwhelmed, but the support I've received has honestly touched my heart in a way I'll never be able to describe. I thought people would be sick of hearing about the MTV cancer girl. Diem may have been going through another battle with cancer, but she had so much support from family, friends, cast members, and fans. Unfortunately, in October of 2014, she announced that the cancer spread to her stomach and her colon. One descriptor you can say about Diem is that she is a fighter. Even when everything seemingly was against her and the doctors were giving up, she wouldn't quit. Diem passed away on November 14th, 2014. It's rumored that in Diem's final days, CT proposed, and she said yes. Many people took to social media in the wake of Diem's passing to share stories of how incredibly thoughtful and selfless she was, how wonderful of a person she was, and how deeply she will be missed. CT's in particular was very touching. You have always been my angel, and now you have your wings. We've been through so much over the years. Through the ups and downs, we somehow managed to keep our promise. We never gave up on each other. Our plan to be together forever hasn't changed. It's just going to take a little longer now. And I'm going to hold on to this ring for you till we are together again. So don't worry, Mama. I'm not afraid. I know you will always be with me to give me your strength. You are the love of my life, my reason to be a better man. I love you always and forever. Diem's memory lives on in everyone she has ever met. The lives she has touched, especially through Medgift and through MTV's The Challenge. Competitors have written Diem Strong or Medgift on their arms before competitions. CT and Diem's sister Faith were featured on Battle of the Bloodlines to help demonstrate the Too Clingy challenge in memory of Diem.
So, do it for D.
A memorial for Diem happened in season 29 with the contestants participating in the Loy Krathong Festival, which takes place in November.
I feel so blessed and I feel so grateful that you're there waiting for me.
8 years after her passing, Diem would get an extended feature in various portions of the Challenge Untold History series. CT even said a few words.
You're just going too soon.
Diem and CT ranked in the top 100 romances of all time on TV, and most recently on season 40, Battle of the Eras, she had a feature being remembered by Derek and CT.
Diem was such an important person in the Challenge universe.
After everything that happened on Battle of the Exes 2, CT wanted to take a break from the show. As stated previously, he came in on Battle of the Bloodlines with Diem's sister for the demonstration.
I was a little nervous on coming back, but luckily Faith is here.
He was also featured as a mercenary in Battle of the Bloodlines in episode 9, where he faced off against cousin Jamie. We later find out that CT did a soft retirement after Exes 2. I think coming back to the show was difficult given how many memories he had with Diem. It would take time and the right motivation for him to want to return to the show. Hello, and thank you for watching part 3 of the CT Docu-Series. This is the longest entry in the series, so if you're watching me talk right now, you made it through the entire video. I just want to say thank you, and I hope you enjoyed. If you're interested in seeing the full unedited versions of part 1, part 2, part 3, as well as part 4, they're all available right now to the $3 and $5 tier patrons over at my Patreon at patreon.com/angelcakevids. Speaking of the Patreon, I do want to give a special shout out thank you to everyone who supports me over at patreon.com/angelcakevids, for without your help and support, this project would not be able to happen. So thank you to everyone who's watching this video, as well as a major shout out thank you to everyone over at patreon.com. I'm currently working on the 5th and final part of the CT docuseries, and that will be posted on Patreon very soon. Once that is available up on Patreon, Part 4 will be uploaded in some capacity over here on YouTube sometime after. But I want to say thank you again, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.